Hello everyone and welcome to the weekly console gaming news update. Today's highlights: Sony is increasing PlayStation Plus subscription prices, new dynamic themes for PlayStation 5, GTA 6 confirmed to cost $100, Silksong shows signs of life, and Astro Bot receives more awards. We've got lots of news to cover, so without further delay, let's get started. PlayStation 5 has been updated with several new dynamic themes. You can now set 11 new themes for your Welcome Center, including Days Gone Remaster, an awesome Ghost of Yodi theme, reminiscent of the classic theme from PlayStation 4 days, as well as God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I don't understand why such a profit-driven company hasn't thought about selling themes that could be applied to the entire PlayStation 5 interface, rather than just the Welcome Center. I'll laugh if they add this privilege in the near future, and as I mentioned earlier, charge extra for it. The official Swiss video game distributor has leaked the pre-order price for GTA 6. Apparently it will cost $115, but since Switzerland is the most expensive region in Europe, the price might be slightly lower elsewhere. All those rumors about GTA costing around $100 no longer seem like fiction. They're looking more like reality. I dare say most gamers will be willing to pay this price, as the release of a new game in this series is comparable to a new console generation. But what do you think? Are you ready to pay such a price? Let me know in the comments. The former PlayStation head has criticized the Nintendo Switch 2 presentation. On April 2nd, Nintendo held its long-awaited presentation for the new Switch 2 console. Among those watching was Shuhei Yoshida, ex-head of PlayStation, who wasn't particularly impressed with what he saw. According to the Japanese businessman, the company presented too few new games, with most announcements being ports from other platforms and remasters of old franchises. Despite the interesting technical innovations of the consoles, Yoshida rated the presentation just 6 out of 10. However, Yoshida admitted his impression changed after the unexpected announcement of The Dusk Bloods, a new game from Software, known for Bloodborne and Elden Ring. The trailer for this dark action game impressed the former PlayStation head so much that he added another point to his rating, bringing his overall impression to 7 out of 10. Rumors have emerged that the true ending of Assassin's Creed Shadows will only be available in the Close of Awaji DLC, which will be free for anyone who pre-ordered the game. This information was shared by a data miner known as Slider V2. According to him, after examining the game files, he discovered that data pointing to the main plot resolution requires downloading certain downloadable content. So far, developers have shared almost nothing about the upcoming expansion. It's only known that it will add the new Awaji Island and will differ noticeably in atmosphere from the base game. It's described as a creepy continuation of the two main characters' adventures. Slider V2 believes the finale was moved to DLC due to lack of development time, and that's supposedly why they made it free for those who pre-ordered. Even an approximate release date for Close of Awaji remains unknown. Now for some disappointing news regarding Sony's subscription service. Sony is starting to index PlayStation Plus prices in certain regions. Beginning April 16th in Latin American countries and Australia, the cost of PlayStation Plus subscription plans will increase by an average of 10%. Essential for a year will cost $65, Extra $108, and Deluxe $125. Sony conducts such adjustments every few years due to inflation within the country and to align costs with a unified standard. For us, this should perhaps serve as a small indicator that Sony will likely increase prices in other regions within the next 6 months. A questionable move from Sony, considering that in the near future, the subscription cost could almost double. I remind you, currently the annual Extra plan costs around $60, but sooner or later everything comes to an end, so be prepared to pay at least $100 for a year of Extra. In addition to subscription prices, Sony may soon raise console prices as well. This is all due to the trade war that has begun between the US and China. Trump's new tariffs have hit Nintendo and Sony so hard that they've already started moving their production to Vietnam and Malaysia. And as always, the relocation of production and increased logistics costs will only affect our wallets. But amid such unpleasant news, Sony decided to sweeten the pill a bit and rolled out perhaps one of the best game giveaways for PS Plus subscribers in recent months. More than 80% of subscribers were satisfied, and it's no wonder since they added Hogwarts Legacy for PS4 and PS5, along with the highly rated new indie game already available on the PlayStation Store, Blueprints, as well as the interactive movie sequel Lost Records Bloom and Rage on release day, plus titles like Battlefield 1, EA Sports PGA Tour, and Play It Up. As previously reported by trusted insider Bill Kuhn, Naughty Dog has announced a physical edition of The Last of Us Complete Collector's Edition for €120. It will include the first and second parts of The Last of Us, a steelbook, the American Dreams comic, and a set of 4 lithographic prints. Pre-orders have started in the official PlayStation Direct store with the official launch set for July 10th this year. An interesting item for collectors, considering how valued items from the Last of Us universe are in this segment. But I'll be honest, for the average gamer, this is just a waste of money. And following up on that news, the PC version of The Last of Us Part 2 showed very modest results on Steam, becoming Sony's 9th most popular PC port. Unfortunately, there was no hype or excitement for this game, and Sony was very disappointed with the result. So most likely there will soon be major changes in the PC port policy. Either Sony will stop releasing their single-player games on PC, which is unlikely since they need to recoup the money spent on developing service games like Conquered, which was shut down even before release, or conversely, they'll start releasing them simultaneously on PS5 and PC, which I personally believe is more likely, especially since Microsoft has been doing this for a long time. The Outer Worlds sequel has completely changed its development direction. Obsidian presented 11 minutes of The Outer Worlds 2 gameplay and shared new details. The developers have significantly deepened the role-playing component, drawing inspiration from immersive simulators like Deus Ex and Dishonored. The Outer Worlds 2 introduces a full-fledged stealth system with effective melee weapons and skills, allowing for silent takedowns. Now, enemies can discover corpses, however. If the character has the necessary abilities, they can destroy the body right on the spot. One of the gadgets is a scanner that allows you to see through walls. The developers have substantially improved the combat system, using Destiny as an example of a game with quality shooting mechanics. Character movement has been reworked, allowing players to be more mobile, for example, performing sprint slides without stopping aiming. The dialogue system has also received minor changes, allowing reactions to situations depending on the character's skills. New companions will appear in the game. Release is scheduled for 2025, but without an exact date. I see Obsidian has fully decided to rework the Outer Worlds gameplay, and to be honest, my first impressions have been entirely positive. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts has recognized Astro Bot as the best game of 2024. Perhaps not entirely surprising, but Astro Bot also won in 4 other categories, along with another game from Sony's internal studio, Helldivers 2, which was named the best multiplayer game according to British critics. Just so you understand, fans have calculated and concluded that Astro Bot has more Game of the Year awards than Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 5, and Uncharted 4. It holds an honorable 6th place with 195 victories, and only The Witcher 3, God of War 2018, The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2, Skyrim, and Zelda are ahead. But I find this strange. While Astro Bot is a good game, it seems like everyone is overpraising and over-awarding it. Especially considering that throughout the PlayStation 5's lifecycle, only 13 exclusive games have been released for this console. 5 times fewer than for PlayStation 4 and 10 times fewer than for PlayStation 3, and there's no point even mentioning PS1 and PS2. The list of exclusive games there would be difficult to count as almost every second release was exclusive. The decrease in console exclusives is usually attributed to game development becoming more costly and time-consuming, but in reality, it's much more complicated. Previously, exclusives were needed to push weak, problematic hardware and thereby increase the library of available games. Now there's no such urgent need. Absolutely all modern games work great on PS5, and people no longer need to be forcibly lured to the console with titles like Uncharted or God of War, at least not in the same quantities as during the PS3 era. The shooter whose creators dream of bearing Valorant and Overwatch, FragPunk, will release on PS5 and Xbox Series on April 29th. Another addition to the catalog of free PlayStation games, matches are played in a 5 versus 5 format, with the main feature being map fragments that allow changing battle rules on the fly, making each encounter feel like a unique experience. First impressions from Steam players have been mostly positive, as evidenced by ratings based on more than 33,000 reviews. I doubt FragPunk will seriously compete with Overwatch and Valorant, but it could certainly diversify gameplay. Hideo Kojima has informed and reassured fans that Death Stranding 2 is approximately 95% complete. It seems no delays are planned, and soon the game will go gold, so fans should expect the release on the scheduled date of June 26th, exclusively for PS5. For the most ardent fans of Death Stranding gameplay, pre-orders are already open in the PlayStation Store, and physical collector's editions are available from official distributors. On April 15th, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will add a hardcore mode, without mercy or room for error. To give you an idea, a real-life simulator seems less hardcore compared to this update for Kingdom Come. Some interesting features. There will be no player marker on the map. You'll have to navigate by terrain, stars, or landmarks. The compass has no cardinal direction indicators, making navigation much more difficult. Fast travel is disabled, only by foot or horse. At the start, you'll be forced to choose 3 negative traits, and if, for example, you're caught committing a crime again, you face capital punishment. The update is free for all owners of the full game, so feel free to download and enjoy after April 15th. Also on April 15th, the 8th patch for Baldur's Gate 3 will be released. The last major patch for the best game of 2023 will add 12 new subclasses to the game, as well as a ton of dialogues and even one new ending. It seems Nintendo is officially becoming the main source of news about Hollow Knight Silksong, a game nearly buried under an avalanche of sad clown memes. First, after a long silence at the recent Nintendo Direct presentation, the Japanese finally confirmed that the game is coming out this year and will be available on Switch 2. And when fans seriously feared the project would only be available on Nintendo's new generation of consoles, developers from Team Cherry quickly made contact and explained, Silksong will come to the first Switch 2. Now, a full-fledged page for the game has appeared in the official Nintendo store with a selection of new screenshots, the first in several years. Naturally, fans immediately rushed to compare. The screenshots were matched with frames from old trailers, and a number of minimal differences were noticed. For example, the recognizable bell heart from the 2019 trailer now has a more dynamic pose. The battle scene and starting room have also received updated details. The changes are mostly cosmetic. Some environmental elements have been refined, and as can be assumed from the body movement dynamics in the screenshot, character animations also seem to have become richer. Now the fan community is debating whether it's really better this way. One thing can be said for sure, Silksong is coming alive, and that's already good news. Scientists have proven that people who frequently play action games have better developed connections between brain parts responsible for processing movements and object positions. A recent neuroimaging study published in Brain Scientist Journal showed that people who regularly play action games exhibit enhanced functional and structural connectivity in the dorsal visual stream of the brain. This stream is responsible for processing spatial position and object movement, which is important for controlling movements. The study involved 28 gamers who played action games at least 5 hours per week and 19 non-gamers who played less than 30 minutes per week. Results showed that gamers had improved connectivity predominantly in the dorsal stream, which may explain their superiority in tasks requiring quick vision-based decision-making. In simple terms, based on visual perception, you make some decisions faster and better. So if some ignorant person tells you that games are useless and harmful, give them a link to this article. It will be interesting for them to read. Steam Deck has already become a cult device for many, so it's not surprising that some want to get not only the portable itself, but also some collectible item associated with it. Recently, one of the first prototypes was sold, of which, as we know, there were quite many before the final design was approved. The one that was sold is numbered 34, has no pre-installed SteamOS or Right Stick, but is reportedly in working condition and, with some additional setup, could be played on. Such a device initially cost $3,000 but was eventually sold for $2,000. And that's all the news for today. Thank you for watching until the end. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe so you don't miss new videos. Also, don't forget to support the video with a like if you enjoyed it. See you soon in new videos.